Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another review, a spoiler review. We have not done a spoiler review in some time, so this will be full spoilers for the film that we watched. What film did we watch, Nicholas? It's funny every fucking time. Every fucking time.
It hurts so much. It gives me such pain.
But yes, this is the full spoiler review for Dune Part 2. Thank you to everyone who watched the initial review when it came out. Lots of love on that. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And guys.
What a movie.
What a fucking great movie this is.
My desert, my rock is my dune.
Where to even begin? I'm kind of scatterbrained on it just because I've seen it twice now. So I was able to pick up on a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. But it was your first time seeing the movie.
Yeah.
So your overall thoughts from that journey, your relationship to the first movie, and just how you feel about everything.
So I quite enjoyed the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was not a huge, like, in love with it fan. But I watched it. I went, that's really good. They have me for a second one.
Mm-hmm.
And if the second one is better, or if they take the story in an interesting direction, I'm in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
And I think part of it was, now looking back in hindsight, the first movie, all set up. It was all dialogue, all just set up. There were some good action scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting stuff. But on the whole, it was very much, this second movie is just payoff, which I've always kind of said from the beginning that I thought it was going to be in terms of like Lord of the Rings, where it's like you watch the first one, it's good. You watch 2 and 3 and you're like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
But you're watching them all together.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, like, I'm not just going to turn on Dune 2. It's going to be that thing where it's like, all right,
6 hours, let's go.
Dune double feature time, or
I will,
day 1, day 2.
I will get digital files and edit this into one movie and make it like 1 6-hour movie.
Perfect.
100%.
Easy.
Yeah.
I think it's something like that. And I was blown away by it. It was one of the probably better theater experiences I've had just overall, in terms of just, I'm so glad I got to see that opening night on the biggest screen that we could.
Yeah, baby.
It was just an experience there.
Oh, yeah. And it was a hell of a cinematic experience.
Mm-hmm. Are you kind of upset that you had to watch it I'm sure you're glad you saw it early, but just like...
No, because here's the thing. Most critic screenings that I go to, It's very dead in the room. Like, it's just people watching a movie. Some people take notes during it. Some people just watch it.
Was the Dune one you went to public?
No.
Oh, it was private.
I couldn't even bring guests.
Yeah.
You would have seen it with me.
No, I know. That's why I was like, I was going to be upset if it was also a public screening.
No. We had a Dolby theater, and there were 25 of us.
I gave it to you in Dolby. I didn't know that. I thought you just had to see it on a regular screen.
No.
Oh.
And in this room full of critics.
20 of you?
25 to 30. That's maybe 40.
Yeah.
But like, for a Dolby theater, it wasn't full.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, the critic screening, people were like, holy shit. Like, watching the movie. Yeah. It was crazy. And like first of all, my relationship with the first film, I liked the first film a lot. I think of our friend group, I liked it more positively than most. I think maybe me and Morgan are on a similar page with liking the first movie.
I skewed positive. I have not rewatched it. I rewatched it once, and I kind of had the same thoughts, but now post Dune 2...
Oh, dude, you're going to love it so much more.
I want to see it again.
Yeah.
But I gave it a 3.5.
Yeah. It's going to go up to 4.
That was kind of where I landed on it, which I feel like is positive plus.
Yeah. I probably gave it a 4, 4.5. Mm-hmm. And that was before the first Dune, or watching the second Dune. But the first Dune, I think, is a great film, but it's not a complete story. And that's very obvious. But I like, because I'm pretty sure in that film, when the title comes up, it says in the beginning of the film, Dune Part 1, which to me sets the expectation right away of like, this is Part 1. We didn't market it, but it's Part 1. And so when that film ended, I was kind of like, okay, let's go.
I think that was kind of the downside of it, is like, if it had been marketed as Part 1, I think
no one would have seen it. As we saw with Mission Impossible.
That's fair. But I think that was also like, now you're sitting down in the expectations, and you're kind of, the expectation now, I had to make it immediately in the theater.
Yeah.
Where I was expecting a full movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now seated for Part 1.
Yeah. Going into this movie, every technical thing about the film is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Every image, every sound, every performance, everything. I have a hard time finding flaws in the movie, personally.
This is, unless something comes out of the woodwork that
Yeah.
is like a technical phenomenon,
Yeah.
like this has every Oscar
Yeah.
like nomination, I
Yeah.
will say, locked. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna go
I
as
mean,
far
it's
as
a
saying
close
that.
tie with Madam Web. But, in all seriousness, God, so many movies are lucky this film got pushed into this year. So many films are lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But also, the storytelling is unbelievable across both films. But even in this film, like, stuff I picked up on the second time is it establishes that Paul's visions, at least before he drank for the water of life, his visions weren't necessarily 100%.
Mm-hmm.
They were possible futures. And he says that. He goes, I can see every possible future. And the vision he sees in Dune Part 1 of fighting with the Fremen is paralleled in Dune Part 2. But it's with Chani,
Yes.
which tells us that he intended what he said of, I'm going to fight with you and bring your people to freedom, until he drank that water of life and made the choice, the point of no return choice of, no, I'm going to be basically a dictator and take my father and like revenge my father and take this back. And so it shows Chani fighting in his place of that vision, but it does show the breakdown of that character of he wasn't lying when he was saying that. I find his arc very similar to like Michael Corleone's a little bit, of where he doesn't want to be involved in this. Then when he gets in, it's for the right reason, and then by the end, it doesn't matter who he shuts the door on.
Well, because it even ends on or one of the dialogue. I think it was like even before he even drank the water.
Mm-hmm.
When I think it was after the mom did, and she's sitting, she goes, your father didn't believe in revenge, and he goes, well, I do.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, don't like where this is going.
Yeah. He says, we're Harkonnens, so we'll end the war like Harkonnens. And it's like, and like, dude, Timothee Chalamet's performance.
And that's what part of it
oh
was.
My God.
Like, I've always liked him as an actor.
Uh-huh.
You saw Walken, you're like, all right, he's being a little goofy, a little silly
Yeah.
guy, right? And in the first Dune, I feel like he didn't really have scenes that required a lot of, like, he needed to be a presence.
Yeah.
And you're not expecting from the skinny little boy, like, that. And then he just comes into this movie, and when he turns it on, it's just insane.
Dude, that scene at the religious gathering with the Fremen when he takes control of the room, unbelievable stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not in the language that's real. Like, it's like, and you buy every word of it.
Yeah.
And his performance really is great. I thought Zendaya was excellent in the movie.
There was not a bad performance in the movie.
No. Let's talk about Javier Bardem.
Still got
amazing performance, but also to the storytelling.
Yeah.
It's funny in the beginning when he's like, he's too humble to admit that he's the Messiah. Yeah, he's too humble. But then by the end, you're like, oh, this is not funny at all. This is terrifying.
It's religious indoctrination and radicalization. It's
just the overall storytelling. But neither of us have read the book. I don't think you have.
No.
Didn't mean to make an assumption, but I didn't think you had.
Fuck you, I haven't.
But the whole concept of the Bene Gesserit creating this religion to control the Fremen, and then them wanting to take out the Atreides because they're getting too close to the Emperor, and they have very carefully planned this bloodline out. And then Paul becomes this Messiah on purpose through his mother to use that religion against them to control them. And then the other Bene Gesserit just being like, fuck. We fucked up. We fucked that up.
He's doing what we wanted to do.
Yeah, he's doing what we said he would do, which was not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And and something that Hannah pointed out, sorry.
No, you're good.
That when we watched it was she loved the subtle storytelling of when Rebecca Ferguson is talking to the fetus, Aliyah, is that her name? Aliyah? No, that's Florence Pugh. What's the sister's name? I know they say it.
Aaliyah.
Okay,
right. Or Aaliyah.
So yeah, she's talking to Aaliyah, and she says, "We have to convert the non-believers." And then the next time we see Rebecca Ferguson, she's surrounded by more followers.
Yeah.
And so Hannah was just like, I liked that of just like, you see behind the scenes of like, oh, she's putting in the work.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is set up really well in part one. Like, because I rewatched part one after my first time seeing part two. And in part one, there's a great sequence where a Bene Gesserit soldier is talking to Oscar Isaac, and also Paul is there, and they gave them like outfits to wear, like the armor. And she says to Paul, "How did you know to put it over your ankles like that?" And he goes, "Oh, it just felt right." And then she quotes the prophecy and says, like, "He'll know your ways like he's one of your own." And he's like, "What?" And she goes, "Nothing." And then later they do that in front of Rebecca Ferguson. And then after they do that, she looks at Paul and she goes, "The Bene Gesserit have been at work here." And it's just like such a little stuff like that like build it up really
Well, I
nicely.
love, I felt like the Bene Gesserit were really in a lot of pockets in the first one, and you kind of get that feeling through it. But then just every time there was confirmation of it in this movie, like when you have the first scene with Florence Pugh's character and then the Emperor played by Christopher Walken, and then the Bene Gesserit shows up, and then they kind of walk away and they look at Florence Pugh and said, "You are one of us." I was like, "Oh fuck, this is like."
Yeah.
It was like almost like conspiracy. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh shit,
yeah.
this is so high up.
Dude.
Like I was just enthralled by it.
And just the side plot. Like, first of all, Austin Butler is fantastic in the movie. He's
The Harkonnens they're my favorite characters.
Yeah.
They're a little goofy silly, but they're fun.
Yeah, but Austin Butler's brilliant. But that, even with Leah Seydouz, Bene Gesserit, of just that whole subplot of like, we got to make sure we can control one because we can control him. We can't control Paul. That's why they tried to kill him.
Yeah.
And it's just the whole mythology is so fascinating, and the score, Hans Zimmer again pulling out all the stops. The cinematography, Greg Fraser, unbelievable. By the way, Denis Villeneuve was not nominated for Best Director the first time.
He's gonna.
He better get nominated this time.
Was Fraser for cinematography?
I can't recall. I want to say yes.
Should be.
Yeah, he might have even won. Dune might have even won. I know it won VFX.
Yeah.
It might have even won cinematography. I'd have to look again. 2021. I'm trying to remember what came out, but yeah.
No, I think it's the technical filmmaking on display, from the cinematography to the score, the production design, everything was just on point, I thought. And do you have a favorite sequence from the movie? I'll tell you mine. It's when he first rides the worm.
Oh, dude,
that was
thrilling. The worm sequence is thrilling as
thrilling.
hell. Excellently directed, perfectly executed. Dude, when he looked at that Bene Gesserit.
Silent.
Oh, dude.
Do the voice.
Awesome. Awesome shit.
Yeah.
But I also loved when Zendaya. I love when he arose from the dead, quote unquote, arose from the dead, and it's people looking at their Jesus, and Zendaya just fucking smacks them. I don't know. I like that scene a lot. The Desert Springs tears. Come on.
I love the choice to end the movie on Zendaya.
Yes.
As well.
Because Dune 1 started with Zendaya.
Yep.
Where she does the whole speech where she says, "Are these just our new oppressors?"
Well,
it's so good.
And because there's the whole thing, too, because you're watching this, and I wasn't really familiar with the book, so I obviously didn't know that this was Paul's arc, and just watching that descent and kind of this realization that Zendaya probably is the actual hero of the story was very intriguing to see. And I do hope we get Dune Messiah. Is that the third one?
Yes.
Because I do want to see more from Florence Pugh's character, because I feel like that's a very interesting storyline now, too, of him taking her as a bride and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I know eventually in the books they get into Children of Dune as well, which involve, I think, him and Florence Pugh's kid, his sister, and a few others. I have no idea if this is in the books, but I wonder if Chani's pregnant. That would be interesting.
You know who came in, though? Walken. I want to talk about Walken for a second.
Go for it. Sorry, if I'm on my phone, I'm trying to look up if Greg Fraser won the Oscar or not.
Christopher Walken showed up as this emperor and reminded us.
He did win the Oscar.
Okay, good.
For Best Cinematography.
Reminded us he could act. I mean, he could always act, you know, but like he hasn't shown up in a lot lately. And he showed up, and I was just I'm like, yes, this is the emperor. And I am terrified of him.
However, he did not say Spaihts.
The Spaihts.
Yeah.
Let's throw you.
Yeah. Dude, so sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I love the conversation with him and Florence Pugh when he basically tells her, like, you underestimate our firepower. And she's like, you underestimate the power of their faith.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't go in there right now. You have to let it go to war, and then you can go save the day. Like, that was a great
it was
scene.
The whole thing when that's when he's asking her, like, what would you do?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, if you kill the prophet.
It just becomes stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's insane. So is Paul's full title then the Lisan al-Gaib Duke Paul Modib Usul Atreides Harkonnen?
Sure. I love it. But another thing I want to talk about, I loved how the story, regardless of it being Paul Atreides, the story of the Muad'Dib with the Fremen clearly became like a Batman type character to the Harkonnens of just like, this motherfucker, this Muad'Dib guy keeps fucking our shit up.
Yeah.
And the sequence with Dave Bautista when Chalamet, he can't see that it's Paul Atreides, but is just walking towards him, and he just gets scared of the legend of this story of Muad'Dib. Like, that's so fucking cool. Like, I loved that whole thing as well. And yeah, man, it's just one of those experiences. I'm gonna see it like one or two more times before it leaves.
Yeah. Austin Butler. I want to talk about him for a minute too.
Yeah.
Man, he's good.
He was very good.
Now, I see a lot of thing online saying like he's the new like Joker for the villains, which I disagree with.
Yeah.
I didn't get that from it. I don't know how big of a role he plays in anything else. No, he died.
Yeah.
Yeah, he died. Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get that impression of it, but I thought he was an excellent villain.
Oh yeah. Listen, he was great.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the pacing of where they established him, where they put him in, I thought it was all
like, I was like, damn, he's not even in this yet.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait for him to show up and make an impression. But I love his storyline. I do love the Baron Harkonnen. He's goofy.
Yeah.
He's funny, but he's also horrifying at the same time. Just every choice they make acting and creatively with that character just it amuses me.
Yeah, big time. Dude, the look of their black sun on the planet. Oh, so cool.
It was really good.
So fucking cool.
I liked like the real like the blotchy fireworks that they had
it looked
going.
like ink. Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that.
There's a lot of pressure now on Messiah.
Oh yeah.
I assume it's happening.
But also, you're going to have years of build up because it's not his next movie, so it's going to be at least 6-7 years before we get it.
That's do they want like everyone to be older?
You probably.
Part of that too. I kind of want to read the books now. I'll be honest.
I don't.
Fair.
But and it's nothing against the books. Me and long novels don't get along, but I do want to watch the behind the scenes on this movie very badly.
Mm-hmm.
Very badly. I want all the behind the scenes documentaries, and I hope the 4K disc gives it to us. I've also heard they're going to release the original Dune 4K, but in the IMAX format, which I'm very excited. I will get.
Dune 1 or like Dune 80s?
Dune 1. So I'm excited.
Nice.
Also, I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but I saw a hilarious tweet that said I was talking to my grandma and said, I'm going to the movies this weekend. She said, what are you seeing? And I said, Dune Part 2. And she goes, oh my God, they made a sequel to that 80s movie? She had no idea there was Dune Part 1 a couple of years ago. And I just thought that was
Can you imagine if it was a sequel to the 80s?
Oh, man. But yeah, like, it's going to be one of those experiences we remember cinematically forever. Like, it's just such a phenomenal movie. And it's one of the rare movies where every single person was on the same page that saw it. And I told them before the movie, I said, this is a masterpiece. And then Mauricio said, don't let me get overhyped. And I said, Mauricio, the movie's so good, it doesn't matter how much I overhype you. You're still going to love it. And I was right. It's so great.
I had a great conversation with my aunt
the other
day.
Mm-hmm.
She really wants me to watch Iron Claw, and I've been deep into...
Dude, Iron Claw is so good.
100%. I'm very excited to. I've just been so deep into catching up on all the Oscar movies that it's like I'm seeing what we see on Thursdays, and then anything else needs to be Oscars. I said, Jess, it's Dune 2 day, and like all caps, I was like, are you hype? I'm hype. She goes, have you watched Iron Claw yet? And I was like, no. She goes, I don't understand. I'm lost. And I sent her my Oscar sheet.
Yeah.
And she goes, doesn't matter, a movie this good and this powerful should skip the line. And I said, I know, but I want 100% the Oscars.
Yeah.
So then I sent her on Friday, because we got out late on Thursday, I said, Dune 2, incredible. She says, get out of here. And I said, go to IMAX. You need to see it on the biggest screen.
Yeah.
She goes, come on, a screen full of sand. And I just did not know how to convey how serious I am for her to go see it. And I said, every movie that is nominated for an Oscar this year is lucky.
Yeah.
I sent her screenshots of like Letterboxd, like all the 5-star reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'll buy you your ticket. That's how serious I am about this.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, but you're going to have to brief me on it. So I sent her a TikTok that had a PowerPoint.
Oh, the PowerPoint, yeah. Dude, that's awesome. I hope she sees it. But I hope you see Ironclaw, dude. It's fucking.
No,
It should have. I know. It should have been nominated for a ton of Oscars.
February 11th.
You mean March 11th?
March 11th. I will watch it.
Yes, perfect. But yeah, man. I mean, what else is there to say? It's a near perfect film.
I want to talk more about it, but I don't know what more specifics to get into other than it's great.
Yeah, I mean, like I would just go minute by minute, but then we'd be here all night.
Yeah.
And full disclosure, we're very hungry. But yeah, it's an amazing film. Please leave in the comments what you thought, spoiler-wise, of Dune Part 2. An incredible experience cinematically. I'm going to see it 3 or 4 more times. Love the film. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next review.